Thanks for joining me, Violet, and the viewers and listeners. Today we're going to be talking about the root of all knowledge. And the root is the key word there, along with knowledge, of course, because knowledge has always been considered important in all cultures at all times. Good, true knowledge. Hence, the scriptures, you will know the truth. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Today we're going to talk about how to acquire accurate knowledge, correct knowledge, verifiable, provable, repeatable, scientific and true. What I have on the blackboard here is all the information pertaining to the subject of knowledge. And all fields of human wisdom is on this board. Today we're going to learn how the alphabet works, language, how the atom works, how magnetism works, electricity, numbers, and all through one simple field of learning, which is the torus field, the atom. All is atum, the Egyptians would say. All is atum, or atum is the all. And you see, the root of all knowledge, that root word is backwards for TOR. Torus field, root and TOR. And so this is the root, the torus field. In order to know everything, you have to know the torus field. And that's what we're going to do today. And it will be the key to understanding and knowing all things. You won't necessarily know everything in one hit, but you will have the key to penetrate and know all things. This information has been suppressed and persecuted for a few hundred years now, and you will see why, how beneficial this is. This is energy. This is God energy, nature's energy. Today you will know how simple nature is and how simple it works. And this is what science, I call it pseudoscience, this is what they are trying to prevent us from knowing and seeing. Wasn't long ago that the whole world knew this. This is not new, none of it. None of it is new. This is all very, very old, as you will see. I'm just presenting it together as a watchmaker would put all the cogs and gears together to make a watch work. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all the parts, and we're going to draw from all the fields of learning, whether it is quantum physics, whether it is astronomy, mathematics, philology, anthropology, it's all here. And this is how to integrate and syncretize holistically all things, because all things are simple. Nature, God, is simple. It's all pure and simple, as you will see. So before we tackle the whiteboard, I want to show 4 or 5 videos of other people talking about magnetism and the torus field, because first and foremostly we want to have a look at the object of our discussion today, and this torus field. And unfortunately, when people talk about the torus field, they don't talk about its twin. which is the hyperbola. Right, so the torus field would be this bulge, this bubble of magnetic energy coming out of the center, redshift, energy going back in to the center, blue shift. And so this hourglass in the center here, this is the hyperbola. This is Chronos, the timekeeper. It's pulsating, dum dum, dum dum, just like your heart. And this pulse is where all of creation comes from counter space. And it creates this torus field, and the magnetic lines of force are diverging here, and then they converge back to where they came from. And we're going to see that this is provable in a laboratory. So we're going to show a video of David Lapointe, and his video is entitled "The Primer Fields." And we're going to see David's work, where he shows in the laboratory how magnetism works and how it has a plane of inertia, which is the other component that many people disregard. As Ken Wheeler says, you can't talk about the torus field without speaking of the hyperbola, which is the inverse of the sphere. This is the sphere, and this is the inverse of the sphere. And the sphere is the inverse of the hyperbola. That bowl, that's the key word. And TOR, for torus field, those are the two twins. You can't talk about the torus without talking about the bull. And this is what I call the Bible, the two bulls. The bull and the torus. Okay? So what you will find is that the bull has to do with blue shift, energy. That's what the bowl is in hyperbola, as you will see. And the TOR, which is rot, is redshift. And so there are three key words that this presentation will be based on, which are three universal words. And you'll see from today that all language, there's only one language in the universe. And it comes from this science. It comes from the atom. Atom is the first of the key words. Remember the word atom, as in your anatomy, meaning that your body is made of atoms. And please remember the word etymology, or otherwise pronounced etymology, the science of words and the true meaning of words. Well, you're going to be learning etymology today and how words come from atoms. Atom is the primary root word of the universe, all is atom. From there come the two twins, redshift, blue shift, and they are blue, bull. You see they are anagrams of each other. So today we're going to be doing a lot of anagrams and lexicograms. Words within words, words backwards, jumbled up, anagrams. Because this is how language works. And so we're going to learn about atom number one and the two twins, blue and red, the bull and the torus, both meaning bulls. And these torus fields actually pertain to all the cow worship, Hathor in Egypt, persisting until today in India, the worship of the cow, because it comes from the torus cow. And this is, as you can see, the torus As you will see, I put here is the uterus. It's the feminine, the womb. And then this, as you will see, is the phallic, the male member. And you see the word here? This is the phallic, okay? And nature is like this. It is polarized in masculine and feminine. And usually, of course, when our children are born, little boy gets blue, little girl gets pink, okay? And we see the hot, cold water, hot water. These are the two polarizations that the torus field creates by its very nature. So without going any further with the whiteboard, I've already ventured a little bit more than I wanted to. I wanted to do all this in one hit, but that just introduces you now to why there's a lot of blue and red on there. There are all blue words and all red words, and this pertains to science, and you will see that every language can be expressed thusly. This is not just for English. I've done this in Italian, Portuguese, Spanish. I include Japanese in my syncretism as I speak Japanese. I study hiragana, katakana, and kanji, which is the Chinese characters. Learned how to write them, etc., and speak Japanese. There's a lot of Greek in this. There's Sanskrit. There's Hebrew. There's Egyptian, and the list goes on. Aramaic. The list goes on. I've done it with every language. So I just want to preface it with that, so that people don't jump and think, oh yes, but that's all fine and dandy. It works in English, but what about the other languages? Well, I've done it in many languages, and I have been a polyglot since I was a little boy. Bilingual at birth, Calabrian and English, and then in my teens I learned Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, French, Greek, Japanese. I learned Hebrew, a lot of Hebrew. I learned a lot of Aramaic. I learned Farsi, which is the Persian language, etc. To be a polyglot is a great blessing. It's not necessary, but it helps. And so here you have a lot of languages merging in, but it's all understandable. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen and play a few short videos. The Primer Fields by David Lapointe, and then we're going to jump to Ken Wheeler and his ferrocell showing the nature of magnetism, then Walter Russell, and I think that's about it for now, but let's just jump to that now. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Alrighty, so Ken Wheeler, let's have a look at this one.
Hey, restarting my lecture here. Have the old MacBook out, the projector, and projecting stuff on the wall, giving the lecture to myself. I wanted to show you something really neat. I just have a cube magnet here. I wanted to save this for the 4th edition. I made this discovery back in early 2017. I got a couple of supercells on the floor here. Let me grab one and show you something. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me actually zoom in. If you actually see, we're looking at the actual polarity of the magnet here. You can tap in. There we go. You actually notice the definition on the left pole, which...
Okay, what are we looking at? Well, that was the cube magnet. He places a magnetic viewing film over the magnet, and he gets the magnetic field. And as you can see here, these two black holes here, this is the hyperbola, and this line right down the center, this is the plane of inertia, or what they call the block wall, B-L-O-C-H, block wall, right here in the middle. This is the plane of inertia. Very important to factor this in always. And then factor in the two poles of the field, which is the hyperbola. Pole, polarity, and hyperbole are the same word. So, as you'll see, P and B are interchangeable. So these are the two poles of the bowl. Now, here, Ken Wheeler is distinguishing between redshift and blue shift. As you can see here, the more defined compressed area, this is blue shift over here at the ratio of 1 to 5. Over here is 5, and this is redshift. So this video here, I'm not going to play any more of this. Here is the title, Nature's Secrets, Phase Polarity, and the Supercell. And that's in Theoria Epiphasis. Now, there are hundreds of these videos of Ken Wheeler. I urge you to watch them, learn the science of magnetism. It's very, very key and fundamental to everything. And all of these videos will be in the description box below. Okay, moving on. Ken Wheeler again. Let's play this one first. Here we go. From the start.
Okay, I'd like to show you something here you've never seen before. I got the ferrocell. This is one that I built, a larger one, and I have a 1-inch ring magnet down here that you can't see. You can see it now as I drop the ferrocell over top of it here. You can see the image form in real time. By the way, this is not a TV image projection device. This is just two optical flats with a smear of ferrofluid and one other agent ringed by LEDs. This black mask is just to keep the light from pouring into whatever camera is filming it. Now you can obviously see this is a ring magnet. You actually can't see it in real life, otherwise you'd see well over a couple inches of holographic depth. It's actually quite amazing that no camera can do it justice. Hold on, I'll show you to you in a second. Here you can actually see the divergent field, the spirograph-like pattern. This would be the reciprocating precessional hyperboloid that forms as the light is
Take note, he calls the torus field the reciprocating precessional hyperboloid torus field. So he uses, you need those four key words. It is reciprocating energy, it is energy that precesses, hence it has a gyromagnetic, the Lamore frequency, okay, so it's retardation, electromagnetic retardation, right? That's precession, hyperboloid torus field. So this is very key as well.
Virgin in centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence around the outer periphery of the ring magnet. And of course, we have a double field. Since it's a ring magnet, we actually have the inner field where the actual magnetism, everything follows pressure mediation. Pressure mediation is different than saying water goes down the drain. It's actually reciprocating into a perfect sphere into a counter space at the center of the magnet. On the periphery of the magnet, you can actually see the field. Let me take a more powerful magnet, which is not that much more powerful, but it's a little 3/4 inch cylinder magnet, and right now I'm actually going to bring it under attraction. What you call magnetic attraction is just merely dielectric avoidance in counter space. But watch the periphery of the field of the spirograph pattern. As I bring it close, you'll actually notice that this field, the outer perimeter field, will collapse. You'll notice actually between the weaker ring magnet and the more powerful cylinder magnet, we actually have immediately between them, we actually have a ball of light. You notice as I bring it away that the field reappears, and as I bring it closer, it actually collapses. Okay? Let me actually zoom in a little better. There we go. Here's a better view. As I bring it closer, you notice the field collapses, but also look to what happens right between the two. As the field collapses, the light also collapses. Remember, EM is transverse, it's a coaxial circuit, transverse electrical magnetic. As the field collapses, and here you can actually see the collapsed field about 1/4, actually 1/5 its original size. And what happens if you think I flip the magnet around in what you can call magnetic repulsion, dielectric counteravoidance? You have increase in force and motion. What do you think is going to happen then? If the field collapsed under attraction, what do you think will happen to the periphery of the magnetic field of the ring magnet as I bring it closer? It should expand, correct? Remember, everything works off the right-hand rule. Everything is capacitance, resistance, permeability, and permittivity. So take a look. You'll notice that the actual periphery of the magnetic field actually expands. And also take a look what happens between the two magnets. Remember this magnet in my fingers is much more powerful than the ring magnet underneath it, which is also powerful in the other magnet. Take a look closely. Take a look at what happens.
It's a torus
I
field.
wish you could see this in real life. Let me zoom in a little bit. So let's take a look at attraction, dielectric avoidance. You notice that the periphery of the magnetic field on the ring magnet collapses. And we actually have between the two a sphere of light. Actually, we have a torus of light, but let's not get too complicated.
See, that's the north pole of the magnet.
In reverse.
Blue shift. This is red shift.
Motion rather than
Force and motion.
This is increasing inertia. This is increasing potential. Increasing potential.
That is the north pole, blue shift. It is sucking in the light. That's what a north pole of a magnet is. Okay? Red shift is radiating out. That's the repelling. That's red shift. That's all it is. And he's showing this in these two videos. I urge you to watch at least these two videos, everyone watching. I think I'll just continue till the end and then move on.
The light comes all the way to the center and the field contracts. Here we have the plane of inertia, the dielectric inertial plane occurring between the two. Here we actually have the inverse of that. We have increasing force and motion. Expansion of the periphery of the magnetic field, since force and motion and magnetism is one and the same thing. Inertia and acceleration and dielectricity of the plane of inertia is obviously inverse to centrifugal divergence. We have centrifugal convergence, not this. We have increasing centrifugal divergence. This is why the light has the spirograph pattern, simplex field geometry, pressure mediation. We actually have the torus of magnetic divergence expanding under increasing force and motion. Anyway, I thought I'd show you that. And here we have what humanity incorrectly calls magnetic attraction. You see, we actually have contraction of the magnetic field. So I bring it actually away from the center, so it wants to pull itself back.
Also, it's not just blue shift, it is the black hole. It also equates with the black light, the voidance light. It is voiding. What you have there is dielectric voidance. The opposite side, which repels, that is force and motion. That's magnetism. The other side is dielectricity. It's redshift. So we have redshift is the repelling side, and the blue shift is drawing. So the redshift also equates with white light. Okay, so this is very, very important. That the red and blue are also the black and the white. This is very, very important to understand. Let me now move on to another video of Ken Wheeler's. Here we go. And this one is very, very important. If you want to understand how the universe works, this is the foundation.
Okay, I wrote about this in the last section of my book, Uncovering the Secrets of Magnetism, available free online. I want to show you, for the first time ever, except for my book, the missing secret of light. I've known about this for 5+ years now, but now, due to experiments, other people's inventions and patents, and the recent discoveries, the evidence has become absolutely overwhelming. I should have written about this 5 years ago, but you're the first to see it in my book. This is the missing nature of light. It explains the photoelectric effect, the Faraday effect, the wave-particle duality nonsense of the cult of quantum. This explains everything about light. See, light, remember Oliver Heaviside created the coaxial cable. The missing secret of light is that it is not electromagnetic. It is, but it has a z-axis radial dielectric component.
Z-axis radial dielectric component.
At which it is pulsed in proportion to the wavelength and the frequency of the light. This is the explanation for the correct observations, the correct calculations, but the wrong conclusions, as is so typical of science. It does experiments and it retests and it retests and gets results, but it draws the wrong conclusions. This explains why light can propagate over immense distances in space and still hold its structure. This explains why magnetism deflects light, because it has a z-axis radial dielectric component. This explains absolutely everything about light. The cult of quantum was bred out of the misunderstanding of light. Light is not electromagnetic. It is dielectro-electromagnetic, or dielectromagnetic. I like to call it dielectromagnetism. You have the idiot Einstein who said,
he's actually calling it, this is about 4 years old, this video, he's now calling it magnetodielectricity. Right, so keep that in mind.
we approach with no kind of difficulty. We have two contradictory pictures of reality. Separately, neither pertain nor fully explains light phenomena, but together they do. In other words, what we have is a wave-particle duality here. That was my poor impression of German. Every point, doesn't matter if it's linear polarization or circular polarization, this is the accurate geometry of light. This explains why shorter wavelength, higher frequency light carries more conductivity in the photoelectric effect. The photon is just a misunderstanding of the dielectric pulse and electromagnetism. You can call light quasi-matter. Magnetism deflects dielectricity. Recent inventions and being able to bend light using purely centrifugal magnetic fields, either simplex permanent magnets or electromagnets.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. This is a very important video as well. These three of Ken Wheeler. This one's called Video 34, Uncovering the Missing Secrets of Magnetism, The Missing Secret of Light, Part 1. The other one was Nature's Secret. No, we did that one. And this one, Secrets of Magnetism, Inertia Plane of Light. Okay, moving on. Here we have David Lapointe. Now, here is, he has two polarized dumbbells here. One is red, one is blue. Red shift, blue shift. And he's made a torus field in the laboratory. So let's have a look how this works. This will also display well how the plane of inertia works, which is very important to understanding all things.
Other tests should begin by the summer of 2013. But there is other technology based on this new theory that has already been in the testing phase for over 6 years. Results so far have been amazing, and this product will be announced in the first quarter of 2013. But that's for later. For now, let's get back to how these fields work to confine matter. Here we see how the plasma spins and flows. In upcoming sections of this video series, we will examine this flow in more detail and its relationship to the spokes in the rings of Saturn and the solar wind.
Here you can see the plane of inertia. It's a disk. It's a flat disk. This is how all galaxies, this is how all worlds, this is how all atoms are. They all have this plane of inertia, this halo disk. And this is, in the middle is where matter is condensed. Okay? This is all in the laboratory.
Then we will take a look at how these bowl-shaped magnetic field emitters cause both magnetized and non-magnetized balls to form the amazing arrays shown here. The only thing holding these balls in position are the magnetic fields emanating from these two bowls. Could this truly be the way that atomic and molecular structures are properly explained? I believe so. Let's take a look at the forces that work in the nucleus area of these bowl-shaped magnetic fields. Shown here are ordinary non-magnetized 5mm steel balls. These bowl-shaped magnetic fields induce a magnetic field into each steel ball, which causes them to repel each other while at the same time keeping the balls structured together. So this mysterious force not only causes the steel balls to become packed tightly together, but it also keeps them apart. It does this while at the same time forming a geometrically balanced pattern, just as we find within atoms and molecules. Notice the vibration in all of the steel balls as each new ball is added to the nucleus area. What we see at work here is what I believe would truly be defined as the strong force.
Well, looky here, if that's not the flower of life, 1 surrounded by 6, surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now this is a disk in the middle of the plane of inertia.
Then we will take a look at some incredible cutting-edge research from scientists at IBM. This is an atomic force microscope image of the actual structure within a nanographene molecule. Now we see the image of the nanographene molecule superimposed on top of the array of steel balls that were formed in the nucleus area of the bowl-shaped magnetic fields.
Matter. We see a torus field, a hyperbola.
The steel balls are supported by a sheet of clear acrylic, which does not come in contact with the magnetic bowls at all. Therefore, it is only the magnetic fields of the red and blue bowls which are responsible for the shape of the patterns we observe here.
All right. Primer fields, part 1, international version. So again, David Lapointe there. Walter Russell speaks about the cube in counter space. Now his theory is that these this vortex shape in nature is bounded by invisible cubes in counter space.
Is projected through each other developed two opposed pressures. The outward direction divides its potential by expanding it radially. The inward direction multiplies it by compressing it radially. Thus, the two opposite plus or minus equilibrium conditions are produced, which motivate the electric universe of two-way motion. Give to it its heartbeat and produce all effects of illusion caused by...
Okay, so these cones, what is coming inward is called an electron, and it is blue shift. What is radiating outward is called a proton, and it is red shift. And this is the plane of inertia. This is Walter Russell's model. Moving on. Let's just have a look at this quick video here from, I think it's the Thrive film. They did something on the torus field. They did a whole documentary back in 2013. I didn't actually get to see the whole thing, but yeah, it was based on this torus field of energy. Here is a little short video about it, and I think this will suffice, and then we'll go straight to the whiteboard.
Now, we've been considering a single torus here. One of the wonderful things about a torus is that it's open at the center. And being open at the center, it can connect with the entire universe. And that means another torus can be right here beside it. And center to center, there is no problem, torus to torus, to connect. So, you and I, center to center, very distinct, different beings, but center to center, through consciousness, we intimately can connect. And that's to say we can connect with the entire universe.
Beautiful.
The human heart is now documented as the strongest generator of both electrical and magnetic fields in the body. Now, this is important because we've always been taught that the brain is where the action is. The brain has an electrical field, it does have a magnetic field, but they're relatively weak compared to the heart. The heart is about 100 times stronger electrically, up to 5,000 times stronger, 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. And the reason this is important is because the physical world as we know it is made of those two fields of energy, electrical and magnetic fields of energy, electromagnetic fields. Our own physics books now tell us if we can change either the magnetic field of an atom or the electrical field of the atom, by doing that we literally change that atom. We change the stuff that our bodies in this world are made of. And it appears now that the human heart is designed to do both, to change both the electrical field and the magnetic field of our bodies and our world, and they do so in response to the emotions that we create between our heart and our brain.
These original dynamics are visible at various scales. One of them is at the galactic level.
All right, let's leave that. Oh yeah, the galactic level. Let's go back.
Out again. Stars like Arcturus, for instance, we know big arms of galaxies spinning around, and they have vortices that goes from the center out to the edge of the galactic halo that surrounds them. Stars move from
This is the model. This is absolutely the model. This is the tree of life. This is the apple of Adam and Eve. This is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil below. This is the plane of inertia, and this is how all galaxies, all worlds work. The atom is like this. This is the atom. The torus field and the hyperbola is the atom. And this plane of inertia here, that's where the Earth is. The Earth is this disk, okay? And the planets and the stars that we see twirling around our heads, these are in the ether. This is the ether field here that makes the apple, okay? So again, this is called torus energy and the power of the heart. All these videos will be in the description box. There's Walter Russell, we did that one. Primer fields, 3 of Ken Wheeler's, and then we'll come back to this one about the scalar waves.